You are listening to Quantum Humanitarian.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another conversation.
Now, this show is AI native. What that means is we scan Ali al-Mokdad's published work, his articles, research, reflections, and we turn it all into conversations like this one.
Yeah, the idea is to bring those insights to life, make them maybe a bit more engaging, easier to absorb than just reading through dense material.
And as always, you'll find the links to the original resources right there in the description. We really hope you do explore them further.
Definitely. Keep digging, keep reading, keep thinking.
Okay, so today we're exploring, it's a really interesting new frontier Ali's been reflecting on, the world of philanthropy influencers.
Right.
You know, when I first came across that term in his work, philanthropy influencer, it almost felt like a contradiction in terms.
I get that. It sounds a bit jarring at first.
But then you start looking at the actual numbers, the potential impact these individuals can have, and it's clear we're looking at a really fascinating intersection here.
Absolutely. It's exactly that, where the massive, massive reach of social media crashes right into the vital work of charitable purpose.
So what is a philanthropy influencer exactly? How does Ali define them?
Well, think of them as a sort of new breed of ambassador. Essentially, it's a social media personality, often someone with a large following, who uses their platform specifically to champion charitable causes.
Right. Raising funds, awareness.
Exactly. Raising funds for NGOs, for CSOs, other nonprofits. You might hear different terms too, like social impact influencer or activist influencer, sometimes nonprofit ambassador.
Okay.
But the core idea, the role they play, isn't just about posting nice photos or videos. It's about actively trying to turn passive scrolling, something we all do, into actual engagement.
Getting people to click, to donate, to act.
Precisely. Turning those views on reels, stories, whatever, to real tangible support for some really critical causes.
And the kind of power they hold. It's actually transformative, isn't it? I mean, we see NGOs spending so much time, so many resources, crafting these careful campaigns.
Oh, yeah. Months of work sometimes.
And then the interaction is, often disappointingly low. It's just a tough environment to get noticed in.
It really is. The noise level is incredible.
But then you see a single post, just one activity from an influencer who's genuinely aligned with a cause.
And boom. Millions reached, sometimes millions raised.
It's staggering. They can achieve in maybe a day what an NGO might struggle to achieve in years through traditional fundraising, grant proposals, galas.
That contrast, that huge difference in audience interaction, that's really the key insight here, I think. Why do people respond so strongly?
Well, Ali suggests followers often see these influencers as reliable sources, almost like a friend making a recommendation.
Yeah, there's a perceived authenticity, a trust factor.
So when that influencer endorses an NGO, it sort of transfers that credibility. It gives the organization a boost it might really struggle to build organically.
And that just widens the NGO's audience massively. It pulls in people who probably would never have even heard of the cause otherwise, let alone donated.
Okay, so given all that potential, the huge upside, the question really becomes not if NGOs should engage, but more like, how do they do it effectively? And why is this becoming so urgent right now?
Well, the context is pretty stark. The NGO sector, as Ali points out, is really feeling the pressure. Needs are increasing everywhere, but funding is often decreasing or at best stagnating.
And you hear that term donor fatigue all the time.
Exactly. People feel overwhelmed, maybe a bit cynical after years of appeals. Traditional funding, grants, big corporate donations, they're still absolutely essential, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But they're just not enough on their own anymore to cover the sheer scale of global needs. NGOs are juggling so many priorities.
And that's where influencers come in, offering this genuinely new channel for bringing in revenue.
Precisely. Their campaigns, driven by social media, have that potential to just explode virally. Think about crowdfunding, lots of people giving small amounts.
Or peer-to-peer fundraising, getting people to rally their own friends and family.
Yeah. And when an influencer with, say, 10 million followers gets behind one of those, it doesn't just take off, it can detonate. The speed and the reach are just unprecedented compared to traditional methods.
And there are numbers backing this up.
Oh, absolutely. Ali points to data from 2024 showing, 52% of nonprofits actually partnered with influencers. That's over half.
Wow.
And nearly half of those used a mix of paid and unpaid collaborations. And this seems to be working. Online fundraising saw a definite uptick, especially monthly giving, which went up 5%. That's now making up 31% of their online revenue.
Oh, that's a significant slice of the pie. So, okay, fundraising is the big one. Is there another key benefit that makes influencers so attractive?
I'd say it's their global reach. It's inherent in social media, right? Platforms don't really care about borders.
True.
And many influencers have followers scattered all over the world. For NGOs working on international issues, climate change, global health, refugee crises, this is incredibly valuable.
They can tap into a global donor base in a way that was much harder before.
Exactly. It's not just about reaching more people, it's about reaching different people across those traditional geographic and demographic lines. It allows for a truly global response to global problems.
Okay, the potential is undeniable. Massive reach, new funding streams, global engagement. But, and there's always a
Right.
but, Ali Al-Mokdad is very clear about the dilemma here.
He is. He talks about his own journey, actually. Initially, he was pretty skeptical, found all the social media buzz, as he calls it, just overwhelming, maybe even superficial.
I can understand that perspective, especially coming from the traditional NGO world.
But then he couldn't ignore the sheer reach, the numbers. He saw the potential, but, and this is crucial, with his background, he immediately also saw the risks. Substantial risks that you just can't brush aside.
So it's this tension, opportunity versus risk.
Exactly that. And his point isn't really whether to engage, but how you navigate that tension. How do you harness that incredible reach while fiercely protecting your mission's integrity? That's the tightrope NGOs have to walk now.
And what's the biggest worry? I imagine number one is authenticity. How do you ensure the influencer genuinely cares about the cause?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
How do you know they aren't just, using the charity to polish their own brand? That line between real advocacy and just self-promotion, it seems incredibly blurry sometimes.
It can be very blurry. And if it gets too blurred, it can seriously damage the NGO's credibility.
Mhm.
Remember, influencers operate in a space where personal branding is everything.
Right, it's their business model.
So there's always that inherent risk that the NGO's core message gets watered down or maybe even totally lost, overshadowed by the influencer's personality or their other commercial interests.
So what are the warning signs? If that line starts to blur, what should an NGO look out for? Or maybe what questions should they ask before even partnering?
That's so important because we have seen cases, unfortunately, where an influencer gets caught up in some personal controversy or maybe their engagement just feels fake, inauthentic.
And the backlash hits the NGO too.
Absolutely. It harms the NGO's reputation, maybe even derails their fundraising efforts. It just highlights how critical thorough vetting is. You need clear guidelines, clear agreements before you start.
And beyond vetting, Ali also mentions an accountability gap. What's that about?
Well, unlike registered charities, influencers aren't really regulated in the same way. There isn't the same formal oversight structure.
Oh, I see.
So there's no automatic guarantee they'll always act in the best interests of the cause or the NGO. This lack of formal accountability can definitely create issues around transparency and trust. Donors need to know where their money is going and that the person promoting the cause is doing so responsibly.
So NGOs need to be incredibly careful in choosing partners, picking people who will genuinely add to their credibility, not detract from it. What about the actual message getting out there?
That's another big risk. The message itself getting lost or distorted. Influencers are usually great communicators, that's why they're popular.
Yeah, they know how to grab attention.
But they might not have a deep understanding of the really complex issues the NGO is tackling. Poverty, conflict, systemic injustice. These aren't simple things.
No.
So there's a danger they might present the NGO's work in a way that's, well, oversimplified, or maybe even misleading, and that simplification could actually harm the cause in the long run.
Which puts the onus back on the NGO, doesn't it? They have to be the ones providing really clear, detailed, accurate information, making sure the nuance isn't lost.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
The NGO has to equip the influencer properly, ensuring the messages stay true to the organization's goals and accurately reflect the complexities on the ground.
Okay. So huge opportunities, but also some pretty significant risks to manage. Given all that, how can NGOs actually make this work? What are the practical strategies?
It really comes down to being strategic right from the start. And step one, as Ali emphasizes, is identifying the right influencers.
Not just anyone with 1 million followers.
Definitely not. It's not just about follower count. It's about alignment. Do their values actually match the NGO's mission? Do they seem to have a genuine personal interest in the cause, or does it feel tacked on?
How do you figure that out?
Research. Look at their past partnerships. What kind of content do they usually create? Does it resonate? Are their followers the kind of people who might actually support your cause? It takes time, but finding that right fit is crucial.
Makes sense. So you find someone who seems like a good fit. What next?
Build a real relationship. Don't just treat it like a transaction. Post this for us, thanks. Try to build something based on mutual respect, shared goals.
Oh,
Maybe engage with their existing content first. Invite them to see the work firsthand, if that's feasible. Visit a project site, meet the beneficiaries, involve them meaningfully.
get them invested beyond just a post.
Exactly. And then be crystal clear about expectations. What are the goals of this collaboration? What kind of content are we talking about? How are we going to measure if it's actually working? Write it down.
Clear agreements again.
Always. And finally, give them the right tools. Provide accurate information, compelling stories, photos, videos, whatever, helps them tell the story effectively, while always respecting privacy and data policies, of course.
It's like equipping your best salesperson. You wouldn't send them out without the right information and materials.
Good analogy. You
Yeah.
need to set them up for success. And then, importantly, track the results.
Measure the impact.
Yes. Look at the social media engagement, likes, shares, comments, monitor website traffic, donation spikes during the campaign, maybe even run surveys to see if awareness is increased.
And learn from it for next time.
Constantly learn and refine. And Ali makes another interesting point here. Even if an NGO decides, you know what, direct partnerships aren't for us right now, they can still benefit
How?
by studying what these influencers do well. How do they create content that's so simple, so direct, so engaging? How do they grab attention in seconds? NGOs can learn those techniques to improve their own communications, make their own social media more effective.
That's a great takeaway. Learn from the playbook, even if you're not hiring the player.
Exactly. Study, learn, and leverage those techniques.
So let's talk about the scale of this. You mentioned the growth earlier. The influencer marketing industry overall is huge now, isn't it?
Oh, it's massive. Globally, something like $24 billion in 2024. And it's still growing projected into 2025. This isn't some niche thing anymore.
And a big chunk of that growth is linked to nonprofits turning to influencers.
It seems directly linked, yeah, especially as they grapple with those issues we talked about, donor fatigue, funding gaps. They're actively seeking new ways to connect.
It's interesting, though, looking at the broader charitable giving picture. Ali cites figures showing overall giving in the U.S. actually went up in 2024, right? Around $592 billion.
It did, yeah, mostly linked to stock market gains, apparently. But here's the catch, the paradox.
The number of individual donors went down.
Exactly, fewer households are giving. So while the total dollars are up from wealthier donors, the base of support is shrinking. And that's a major driver pushing nonprofits towards influencers trying to reach new people, especially younger generations who might not engage through traditional mailers or galas.
And different platforms have different impacts.
Definitely. You know, a platform like LinkedIn might get decent engagement for a nonprofit, maybe around 1.9%. But it's platforms like TikTok and Instagram where you see these campaigns really go viral.
Makes sense. More visual, faster moving.
And influencers are proving really good at using those platforms to cut across borders, rallying global support for things like climate action or health emergencies. Looking ahead, Ali flags trends like AI being used for more personalized fundraising appeals.
Interesting.
And the continued rise of celebrities starting their own foundations, kind of blending their personal brand with social impact. There's even chatter about things like crypto and meme coins finding a role in fundraising, though that's still pretty experimental.
Wow. Okay, let's ground this in some examples. Are there specific success stories Ali mentions?
Yeah, he does. A prominent one is Harry and Meghan, their fundraiser with KMF Ed back in 2020.
For girls' education.
That's right, in Southern Africa. They asked for donations for Meghan's birthday and matched them, raised over $130,000. And they've kept up similar partnerships, like working with Project Angel Food, delivering meals, or supporting World Central Kitchen's relief efforts.
Now, some people criticize celebrity involvement, right? Saying it can overshadow the actual work on the ground.
That criticism definitely exists, and it's a valid concern sometimes. Does the focus become the celebrity, not the cause? But, Ali argues, you can't deny the amplified reach and the very real financial impact they bring. It's a trade-off, perhaps.
And it's not just Hollywood or royalty, is it?
Not at all. Regional successes are just as, if not more, impactful in context. He mentions Indian actors like Surya. His Agram Foundation has helped over 5,500 first-generation students get through college. And Mahesh Babu, whose foundation funded over 3,000 heart surgeries for children from lower-income families. Again, you might argue about motivations, PR angles.
But the results are tangible. Lives changed.
Undeniably. Or look at Megan's more recent investment in Sesta Collective, that ethical brand working with artisans in Rwanda. It boosts visibility for women's economic empowerment, which is great. But it also brings up those questions we discussed about the lines blurring with commercial interests.
It's complex, and then you have figures like Mr. Beast.
Right. His massive stunts that raise millions for causes, often tied into digital trends, even crypto philanthropy sometimes. Or on a different scale, established figures like Oprah or Beyoncé consistently funding youth programs.
The common thread seems to be that scale, that amplification, reaching people in places that traditional NGO communications often miss.
It really is a fundamental shift in how philanthropy gets amplified.
Okay, this makes you think. Let's pause for a moment. Try this thought experiment. Just imagine, what would nonprofit advocacy actually look like if the average NGO had the same kind of viral reach, the same level of perceived credibility as some of these huge social media influencers?
Hmm. That's a powerful image.
Would we still be talking so much about donor fatigue if the messages were cutting through differently? Would the whole conversation around global challenges feel different, more urgent, maybe more hopeful?
It's definitely something to ponder. What if that influencer trust could be harnessed systematically for vital causes?
Exactly. And I think that's really the point of exploring this topic, drawing on Ollie's reflections. It's not about having all the answers right now.
No, it's about stimulating that rethinking process.
Yeah. Because the challenges facing NGOs aren't getting smaller, so their willingness to innovate, to explore these new digital landscapes, has to grow too. It feels like a call to action, doesn't it?
It does. For NGOs to strategically embrace these tools like philanthropy influencers, but to do it smartly, eyes wide open.
Always prioritizing that accountability, the transparency, the authenticity of the mission above everything else. Finding that balance.
That's the key. Leverage the reach, but guard the integrity.
This has been Quantum Humanitarian, an AI-native conversation shaped by analyzing, understanding, and reflecting on published work and lived experience.
You will find those links and resources in the description. Please do check them out. We really hope you keep engaging with these ideas, keep questioning, keep imagining.
And join us next time. We'll be taking the conversation somewhere new again. We won't spoil the topic just yet.
But we think you'll find it just as thought-provoking.
Until then, keep imagining, keep questioning, and keep building.